Let's go to Richard, who's a Liverpool fan. Right, Rich?
Oh, hiya. You right?
Yeah, good, Rich. Go on, what do you want to say? You're a Liverpool fan. I know we've been talking about Kevin De Bruyne. For me, everyone's talking about Haaland, Grealish, Rodri, but again, De Bruyne, every time I watch him play, he is just sensational. I'm a huge fan of Steven Gerrard. He was my ultimate midfielder when I was growing up, watching him, playing against. I was lucky enough to play against him. I thought he was the best. I think De Bruyne is going to surpass him.
De Bruyne is miles better. I know Gerrard was brilliant, but the way De Bruyne dictates the match in that second half, I've never seen a performance like it. How did Rodrigo get the man of the match? I mean, he played well, but De Bruyne just dictated everything. I know Leeds weren't at the best; they didn't have the best team out, but the way De Bruyne plays with such fluency, the way he's like a puppet master. He seems to see things that other players can't. And I've never seen a performance like that. It was just brilliant to watch. I was watching it with someone else, a Leeds fan, and he was moaning about Leeds and everything. And I said, how do you play against that, though? I thought Leeds did okay in the second half. But I thought, obviously, City, with their talent, but De Bruyne is the best player that I've ever seen.
John, can I ask you a quick question?
Rich.
Sorry, are you a Liverpool fan?
I'm a Liverpool fan, yeah.
Yeah, and you're saying that Kevin De Bruyne is miles better than Steven Gerrard?
Well, I wouldn't say he's miles better, but for me, he's the best player I've ever seen in midfield. Gerrard was brilliant, but the way that De Bruyne dictates the match, I've never seen that. The closest I've seen to him
Stevie
is
G did that. Stevie G used to take the game by the ruff of the neck and said, right, I'm ruling this show.
Ruff of the neck? Not heard that one.
Well, I would say that De Bruyne's more consistent. I'd say De Bruyne is more consistent. Gerrard's brilliant, don't get me wrong, but I think De Bruyne has got something else.
Rich, you're a Liverpool fan, mate. I mean, I can understand it from a Man United fan, from a City fan, an Arsenal fan. You know,
I'm not biased.
You're the only Liverpool fan I think would come on here and say De Bruyne is better than Steven Gerrard.
Well, that's just my opinion. I've never seen someone. Sir?
Steven Gerrard was the complete, as in the defensive qualities.
Yeah, he was brilliant. I agree, he was brilliant, but I just think De Bruyne tips him. I really do.
Yeah, he's on another level. Watching him is just sensational. It really is. Rich, thanks for your call.
I'm sure that the stats back it up as well. I'm sure with the chances made and assists and goals. If you take De Bruyne out of that team at Man City, if he got injured, Liverpool have a chance to win, or Arsenal would have a chance. But I think if De Bruyne stays fit, no one's got a chance because he just feeds Haaland and he just finishes.
Yeah. I've seen firsthand the presence, forget performance, just the presence of Steven Gerrard being on the pitch, being in the changing room. I've seen it firsthand, what it does to the players, what it does to the manager.
Yeah, but I think Kevin De Bruyne has got that now. Mate, I'm telling Jermaine, when I watch him play, he's the Rolls Royce of a midfield. He's got everything. He's got everything.
Unbelievable.
He's the closest player I've seen to in terms of a Steven Gerrard player. He's a complete midfielder in my opinion. And you know, we talk about it. I was lucky enough to play in that era where you had Scholes, you had Gerrard, you had Lampard. I played against all of them, and Gerrard for me was just on another planet. He really was. I couldn't get near him. Lampard, he always played a bit higher, a sensational player, scored goals. I can't believe you're saying you're not having him. And Scholes, for me, again, was ridiculous, right? He is ridiculous.
Magician.
He was a magician. He had everything. But for me, Gerrard was just on another level in terms of what he offered as a complete midfielder. And I look at De Bruyne and I watch him play, and I go, he's better.
Oh.
And I don't want to say it because Gerrard's like my guy. He's the guy that I always looked up to. I was like, Gerrard, another player. But every time I watch him play, I think, if I walked on a football pitch and played a midfield against him, I couldn't get near him.
What can KDB do that Gerrard can't? Or vice versa? That's a question. I
think Kevin De Bruyne can do more of it. That's what I think in a game. I think he does more in terms of creating a goal, creating a chance. These crosses, things like that.
If Stevie G was playing in this era now, this era right now, Stevie G will be the better midfielder. The complete midfielder. That's the guy that you want in your team. It's close, don't get me wrong, because KDB is an absolutely phenomenal player. You know, his vision, his
Gerrard's
passing.
never won the Premier League.
Doesn't matter.
Never won the Premier League.
Ronaldo's never won the World Cup. But they're talking about who's better, him or Messi.
Yeah, but that's not a debate anymore. that's not even a debate. Let's go to Jacob, who's a Chelsea fan. All right, Jacob?
Hi, boys. Great show as usual.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Yeah. Jermaine, how are you not having Lampard?
No, I am having. Listen.
No, you said you're not having him.
I am having Lampard.
No, you can't backtrack.
You're not having him.
No, all right. If I look, I'd Stevie G in front of him. I'll have KDB. I would have a prime Yaya Toure instead of Frank, and I'd probably have a prime David Silva. So
that's massive disrespect, Jermaine.
No.
You can't disrespect someone who's achieved as much and scored as many goals.
Him. I think he's a good player.
Lampard. And look, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne is technically magic. He is magic. But some of the passes he makes, his vision, his awareness, he is incredible. He is incredible. And I would say he is up there at the moment. Well, he is the best midfielder in the world, in my opinion, at the moment.
Jacob, just on Lampard, I just want to read out something here to Jermaine, who's not having him.
I am having him. I just
Lampard got 177 Premier League goals.
Technically, he's worse than all the players I mentioned.
De Bruyne's got 60.
Technically, he's worse player than all the players I mentioned.
So De Bruyne, I think.
Why are you looking at me like that?
could get closer to Gerrard's record. But look, Gerrard again. All respect to Gerrard, he's a fantastic player. But Gerrard and Lampard was always a debate, and a lot of people went with Lampard because of goals. Lampard was a box-to-box midfielder. He scored goals. He also defended. So it's very, very difficult to pick. But as a Chelsea fan, and I have been since 5 or 6 years old, so honestly, I think to put Lampard that far down is a bit disrespectful to Frank.
Yeah, but the players I mentioned there are all technically better than him. Don't get me wrong, because the players I mentioned are fantastic players as well, world beaters, and so is Frank. But in that list of players, I'm saying he's probably around fourth, maybe sixth.
Fourth, maybe sixth?
Yeah, I'll go Yaya Toure instead.
You're putting Yaya in front of Lamp.
Prime Yaya and prime David Silva.
I don't think you can, Jermaine. I don't think you can, mate. Honestly, don't think you... Look, again, you all these players that you're reeling off, fantastic players, and they are. But you need to look at what wins you titles, what wins you finals, what wins you games, and what puts a legacy in place. And goals do that. But it wasn't... And a comment you made earlier about he just scores goals. That's bang out of order. That's bang out of order, Jermaine. You can't be saying that.
That's all I really saw was the late runs bang goal.
Hey, Jacob, he only scored 177 goals. What's he ever done?
Well, exactly. Yeah, we could have scored 180, couldn't he, Jamie?
If they'd got 200, maybe then, but, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Jacob, while I've got you as a Chelsea fan, you're sitting 8th in the table. Got a big few weeks coming up. Reece James is out for a month. Do you need to go into the transfer market?
Yeah, I think we do. Obviously, Azpilicueta as a backup has been a magnificent servant to the club and forever be grateful for what he's done. But I do think we need to go in and get that Croatian right back we're looking at. His name escapes me. We're looking at a Croatian right back, Jelavic. Possibly I do. But
you need a striker, Jacob. You need a striker.
We need a striker, but the problem is who's proven and available at the moment. That's the problem.
João Felix.
João Felix, yeah, but he's been hot and cold, so he's a gamble. When you've got obviously teams now, City, now Liverpool, that are competing and paying big money and big wages, even to Chelsea standards, wages-wise. It's so hard now to get these world-class strikers. You've got to almost look around at the market fully to make the right decision. But then again, you never know whether it's going to work or not. So, but I think Potter needs time for sure. I think if we don't get top 4 this year, I would still keep him on for next season.
Gabby said on breakfast this morning, if you don't get Gabby Agbonlo, he's on breakfast this morning, said if Graham Potter don't get top 4 this season, he'll get a sack.
Well, see, I don't know whether that's Gabby's opinion or Gabby's heard that from media outlets or whatever.
Never know what goes on in Gabby's head, mate, to be honest with you.
Well, you can say that. You know him. But personally, I heard when he was appointed that there was a 3-year plan. Now, that's from a media outlet, so whether that's true or not, I don't know. But if he didn't get top 4 the first season, he would be given time. But we all know this is Chelsea, and whether it's Abramovich, whether it's Bowley, time isn't something that's always been on the cards. No. So we'll wait and see. I personally would give him another year, give him another transfer window, spend some money, and then see what we do next year. Well, that's what you've got to do now to keep up with these superpowers.
All right, Jacob, absolute pleasure, mate. Thanks for calling in.